Hello, everybody. This is Greg29407 back with another episode of City of Heroes. Today, we're going to talk about Stalkers. And right now, what we have is my brand new staff fighting radiation stalker. Her name is Sea Wench, and she is very aquatic minded. We got her set up with this fancy looking trident as her staff. And basically, she's an Atlantean who's come out of the briny depths to fight enemies, primarily fight villains, I guess. She's on the hero side. And so far, she's been really, really cool. I've enjoyed playing her quite a bit. I got her up to level 26 so far. So I want to go over all the power sets she has and also to talk about Stalkers overall in general. Because Stalkers first came out back in 2006 with the advent of City of Villains. And they're one of the 5 original archetypes you could only play on the villain side. And to be honest, it was the weakest of the 5 archetypes. It was also the least played. In fact, at one point, around the 2008, 2009, they did a poll the developers showed. Stalkers of the main 10 archetypes, Stalkers were the least played of all. They had a lot of problems back then, most of which have been fixed since then, which I was kind of surprised to find as I've come back to the game. I had played a couple of Stalkers back in the day, many years ago. I had a dual blade stalker and I had a electric energy stalker. I kind of ran out of gas with both of them. The problem that stalkers used to have, and that a lot of people think they still have, is stalkers used to be kind of a one-trick pony. They had this one really good trick, which is they could sneak up on enemies using hide, and then they had an assassination attack. And a lot of times you could one-shot an enemy. The problem was if you did not one-shot that enemy, or if you one-shot the enemy and then he had some friends standing around, you had to run like a little baby as fast as you could away because all the aggro was going to be on you and you had nothing else besides that one trick, and you would die really fast. It made Stalkers not very fun to play. It was cool getting the one shot on them. It felt kind of good, but man, the trouble you were into after that was just awful. If you were on a team, your teammates would then take over and save you. Stalkers were really just good for sending into in missions where you had to defeat some enemy at the end of a map, and the team would be either fighting the early enemies, and then the Stalker would skip to the end and attack the final enemy, probably die, go to the hospital, come back, sneak up to him again, and finish the job. Aside from that, not much good. There's a lot of problems with them back then. For instance, you have the assassination strike, which is the key to the whole power set. It only really worked when you were in hide. When you were hidden, that thing worked great. As soon as you were out of hide, you could still use the power, but the damage you did was horrible. It was like 10 points or something because they did not want you using your assassination strike out of hide. The whole point was you used it just in hide, so it was pretty much useless outside of hide. So that was no good. The other thing was, if you missed with your assassination strike where you were hidden, and you just kind of you missed, which I hate doing, but you missed, then hide would drop and everyone could see you. All the enemies could see you, and then you'd still have all the aggro, so you would die. Sometimes you would die without doing a single point of damage to anybody. It was terrible. It was no fun. The other problems that we had back then were the other attacks you had were fairly weak. They weren't really worth much at all. There were no crits at all. You couldn't do any kind of critical damage. And I may be mistaken on this, but I think that your defenses and resistances were somewhat weaker than on other melee archetypes like scrappers and brutes and tanks. I may be wrong about that, though. I'm not quite sure. It seemed like they were weaker, but that may only be because you got all the aggro and you died really quick. So these were pretty terrible back then. They made some changes, quite a few changes, in the builds towards the end of the game's life around 2011, 2012, and it really fixed things a decent amount. So what they did was I can now use my assassination attack outside of hide. Now, it doesn't do the same damage, of course, but it does really good damage anyway. So when you're in hide, you use your assassination attack. It's a long wind up as you're kind of pulling back because you're going to do some massive damage, then you attack. When you're out of hide now, you can use your assassination attack, but there's no wind-up, which is great because it attacks fast. It does really strong damage. In fact, it may be one of your strongest attacks outside of hide. So it does really strong damage. It's an immediate attack. When sometimes that's what you need is an immediate attack, And so it works really, really well. Also, if you're in hide and you miss with assassination attack, you stay in hide. So you can just kind of sit there and wait for it to recharge so you can try it again. It's still a hassle if you just use build up and say, I lost the power of build up. But anyway, that helped out a lot. Also, your other attacks are stronger now. Make her jump here. Your other attacks are stronger now. So they're not as strong as scrappers, but they are stronger than tanks. And they're stronger than brutes who have no fury, which is not really brute, so don't really count that. So they're closer to scrappers than they are to tanks, so they're kind of right in the middle, but a little closer to scrappers. So the good thing is now, after you do your assassination strike and one-shot the enemy, and all his friends start to come after you, you can scrap it out. It won't be quite as effective as a scrapper, but it is really good. You've already knocked out the strongest guy, now you just have to take care of his friends, and you can scrap it out. The other good thing is all of your defense and resistance on your secondaries are the same level as scrappers. So you're getting the same thing. Now, you do lose some powers. You lose one power from your secondary because you had to fit hide in. And for some of the secondaries, the power you lose is more important than other secondaries. We'll go into that a little bit when I start talking about Sea Wench. But so you do lose a little bit of that. And for your primary, you're going to lose a couple of powers that like scrappers and tankers and brutes get because you have to fit in both your assassination attack and your placate. So in this particular case, we're going to lose a couple of things here, which we'll go into. But that is why Stalkers are now much better than they had been. They've really picked up. They've really improved quite a bit. When I came back to the game with Homecoming, I was surprised. I got on a pickup group, and I was looking at the people on the team, and my leader was a stalker. I went, what the heck? We got a stalker leading the team? That's not going to work out. Well, it worked out great. And, he's assassinating guys, and he's scrapping it out with other guys. It's like, oh, this is terrific. And that's what made me take a second look at the Stalkers. So let's take a look at this particular build. This is, again, it's staff fighting and radiation. I've been going through, well, let me first of all say, I've used it. This is my third attempt at a Stalker. I had a dual blade ninjutsu Stalker in live game, and then a recreator here, and electric energy both in live game and here. And I wasn't dual blade. I love playing dual blade characters in every game I play if they're available. I haven't enjoyed dual blades here at all in this game. They have that weird combo system where you have to hit 3 powers to get this special combo, and half the time the combo, who cares? And if you miss with any of those 3, then the whole thing falls apart, and it's kind of unnatural and unwieldy, and I don't like it. The other problem I have with dual blades is it's not very powerful. I mean, I played it again last night trying to make it work, and I finally just gave up on it. I'm not going to play it anymore. I'm having to go through every single attack power I have to kill anybody. Like a yellow enemy. I had 3 yellow enemies. I'm going through attack, 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 attack. Oh, they've recharged. Good. Attack, 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 attack. Good. Recharge. Attack. It was terrible. Electric energy is better. It is a little bit more hands-off, and I wanted to do a little bit more of a melee. So I tried staff. I'd read about staff fighting. They have kind of a combo as well. But this combo is more like street fighting where it doesn't get in your way. It's kind of a nice bonus, but it's not like something you have to I have to do this thing in a certain order or else it's useless and I'm no good. It's not like that. So I do enjoy this. It's a pretty good set. And but I wasn't sure what to do as a secondary. I thought about ice. I've heard ice is really good. But again, this is my third attempt at Stalkers. I said, oh, what if this doesn't work either? So I went with radiation. Only because, of course, we use radiation armor with Killdozer, my stone radiation brute. So I know the power set really well. I know it's really, really good. I feel comfortable with it. So I said, well, at least I know that'll work. And so that's what I went with. So we're going to go over all the powers for staff fighting radiation. The first thing I do want to say is we lose 2 powers from staff fighting that brutes and tankers and scrappers get, and we lose 1 of our radiation powers. So, sorry about that. The staff fighting, what we're going to be losing is the staff mastery. And again, we have this combo system, and they have like staff perfection of the mind, the body, and the soul. And basically, if you're with scrappers and brutes and tanks, you can click on one of those 3 things. It's kind of like dual pistols. You can have regular bullets, fire bullets, or toxic bullets, or frozen bullets, and they do a little something different. With the staff mastery, you have the body, then you can do extra smashing damage. If you had the mind, you can do psychic damage, and if you had the soul, you can do energy damage. Well, since we don't have mastery, we just stay with the body, so we do extra smashing damage. Well, from what I've read online, that's fine because most people use that stance anyway because they want smashing damage. That's fine. We also lose a higher end power called Innocuous Strikes, which was a cone and did high damage. But again, we got Assassin's Staff in place of it, and we got Placate in place of the other mastery. For radiation, we are losing Beta Decay, which was a toggle. You may remember it does negative to hit, negative defense to our enemies, and gives us extra recharge. So that's not a good one to lose. But to be honest with you, the radiation armor is such a great set, I can't imagine anything that we'd want to lose. So if you had to lose one, I guess that one's not a terrible one to lose. Anyway, I think it's probably worth the trade-off. So let's go through the powers we have and see what we've got. So the first attack is Mercurial Blow. I did not take this one. This does light damage. All these attacks are also all the staff attacks have bonus accuracy, either 5 or 10% bonus accuracy. So you can just get away with slotting 1 accuracy in them. I'm still missing a little bit more than I'd like to, but it's okay. Assassination Staff gives 20% bonus to accuracy. That's pretty good. So this was light damage. I chose not to take this one. I want to take the next one instead, the Precise Strike. This does moderate damage and also has a chance to do some faux stun. And this does come up a decent amount. Again, a single target. I'm going to go through these first 4, and then I'll get back to Mercurial Blow and why I didn't choose that. Next one we have is Guarded Spin. And this is a cone. And so you got to get it lined up a little bit. But it's actually a pretty decent cone. It does good melee damage, good smashing. And to be honest with you, you will be using this attack much more than you may think. If you don't like cone attacks, you're going to be using a lot of this anyway. Just because, well, again, we're going to get into that in just a minute. You're going to have to use this a lot. Next one we have is our Assassin Staff. And this is the one you get at level 6. And, of course, you're going to take this for sure. If you don't take this, then go play a Scrapper, because this is the whole point of the archetype here. This does massive amounts of damage. It's amazing. Here's the thing. Early on in the game, you're going to have Mercurial Blow, Precise Strike, Guarded Spin, and your Assassin Staff. Those are the 4. I didn't take the first one because later on we're going to get all these other attacks. We're going to get Eye of the Storm and Serpent's Reach and Sky Splitter. And I went online, I did some research, and a lot of people don't take this first one. Some people do. I did an additional build where I did take this, but then it made slotting a little harder, and later on I couldn't fit everything in. What you can do is take this early on and then get rid of it later. That's pretty fun. I generally don't do that on my characters. I like to have the build all laid out in advance and stuff, but that's just me. What's going to happen is if you just take these 3 and don't take Mercurial, no matter what you do, they all have long enough recharges that you're going to have gaps in your attack chain early on. For a lot of the game, you're going to have an uncomfortable situation where you don't have any attacks and you're waiting for something to come back. To the point where, let me show you, I've actually just slotted my attacks with 1 accuracy, but the second thing I slotted is a recharge, because I need these things to come back as quickly as possible. It's like, please hurry up and come back, please. So there is that's a good reason for bringing in Mercurial Blow early on. I think even with this and having a set of 4 attacks early on, you're still going to have some gaps anyway. It's kind of a pain in the neck. It's something you got to deal with. But the recharge in these powers does help. I went with these 3 only for the first, but again, I do the death from blows. So for the first 15 levels, I'm just doing death from blows. I have a whole team, so it doesn't really matter. When I went into Fault Line to do my level 15, 16, 17 stuff, I felt it. Using another attack would have been good. So having Mercurial Blow would help there. So if you like having a smoother attack chain, definitely get Mercurial Blow. Definitely slot recharges. Because at level 18, you're going to get this Eye of the Storm. This is a PBO AoE. So the good thing about Staff is it has both single target and AoE attacks, and it's a good mixture of the two. So it makes you a lot better to as a character for doing damage. This is the goofiest attack in the whole game. This is crazy. Notice it says consumes perfection. As you build up your combos, you can build it up. You see a little thing up here that says perfection 1, 2, and 3. When you get up to 3, then you use a drainer, which is I think Assassin Staff and Eye of the Storm. I think those are the 2. Oh, and Sky Splitter. Then you get the extra smash damage from that. So Eye of the Storm, you're going to hit everybody in a circle around you, and knocks people down. And let me show you what this looks like, because we don't need an enemy to run this. Let's say that we're fighting this character and we're facing her, and she's going to use the Eye of the Storm. All right, and here she goes. Let's do that again. Oh, it's a long recharge. So this is the breakdance move. She's calling you out to a dance off, and she's got quite a few moves there. It does, each one of those strikes does a little bit of small damage. Here we go. Do it again. It's each one of the strikes does a decent amount of damage. You're doing it to a lot of enemies, and it does help that it can do possibility of knocking down. It has the possibility of doing the extra perfection, so you have extra smashing damage. But it is silly looking. So you get that level 18. So what I was doing was I had Precise Strike, which is a surprisingly good attack for something you can get level 1. Guarded Spin, which is a cone. My Assassin Staff, and then I had my Eye of the Storm breakdance move. And that's what I was using up until I got level 26 just now. So those are your attacks. So you are going to be using your AoE attacks even if you're fighting one guy, just because I need something else to hit him with. So a lot of times I use Assassination Staff, and then I go straight to Precise Strike because it does really good single target damage. And then I was going to Guarded Spin, my AoE. And then I was breakdancing them to hopefully finish them off. And this did finish them off pretty good, even if it was like one guy. So it's not an efficient use, but again, you need the extra attacks. Now, over time, of course, we can fix our recharge. We'll get some Invention Origin enhancements to boost our recharge quite a bit, and this will be no problem at all. And it's not a big problem. I think I've died on this character 2 or 3 times by level 26, doing a lot of team stuff. I think I died on some team stuff. I kind of got it over my head, but she's really good, really strong character. The radiation helps out, but you're not gonna die that often. It's not like a blaster or something. You're dying all the time. Like, how many times do you die in this particular mission? No, I'm talking how many times have I died, period. So, but it's like, oh, I wish I had another, come on, hurry up and recharge. And you hit that little noise when it's like not recharged yet. Like, do that again. Let's see if we want to hit it again. It makes that sound. That thing. You're going to hear that a lot as you play this character at the lower levels. But that's fine. It's just like, oh yeah, I clicked the button too quick. That's perfectly fine. Um, oh, I guess she was teed up for that. Sorry. Our other power is when we get this at level 8 is build up. Of course, build up is you get that on pretty much all your characters. I will always take build up eventually at some time. For a stalker, you want to take your build up right away. Take it right away at 8, and you always want to pair it up with your assassination staff. So I keep those right next to each other. Here's build up and here's assassination staff, and I'll just go boom, boom. I keep it right under here so I don't lose track of it. If you guys have watched my videos with Killdozer, I've got build up. I don't think I ever use it. I always forget about it because he's got so many great attacks and he does so much massive damage when he's got Fury going. You don't really need it. This case, I've got my eye on build up all the time. It's fantastic. Build up and assassination staff, your enemy's gone. So that's a really good one. We also get placate at I think level 12. Placate is very useful on a stalker. Very useful. Early on it's very useful. Later on it may not be so much. You can do it without it. I take it, and I'm using it on a decent amount. For that enemy that you don't kill the first time, you just placate them so you go invisible again. Of course, I use placate a lot on my Bane. I love it using it on him. But as I mentioned in my videos for my gravity force field controller, where I took misdirection of the concealment thing, which is like placate, I never use it. I don't need it on that character. She has so many good powers, I don't need to use misdirection. So a lot of players don't use placate in later levels because she has so many different attacks you can use. So that's up to you. I would use it early on, and you don't slot much in it. I think I've got just one recharge in it. That's all I need. So Serpent's Reach is the power I just got at level 26. It only has an accuracy recharge right now, so it's not doing much damage. This is a bit of a range, is a short range. This is a lot like Focus in their claws attacks. It can shoot a little bit, not really across the room, but from a few feet away, and it does knock down, and does really good damage. So far I haven't seen the high damage, but when I hit level 27, I'm taking 2, so I'm going to take 2 damage slots on it. So I'll get some more damage right away. So that, because right now my second best attack after assassination staff is still precise strike. So I'd like to have a higher level second power. Then at level 32 we're going to get Sky Splitter, which I have not seen yet. It does extreme damage. It knocks them up, it stuns them, and it consumes perfection, so we get some extra damage in that. So this should be a really heavy hitter. That'll be a really good one. For radiation armor, we'll go kind of briefly through this because we've done this so many times before. Radiation armor is fantastic. I love it. It's a really, really good one. We take Hide as our first level, of course. Alpha Barrier, it's a toggle, and it is going to give us resistance to smashing, lethal, and toxic. I got my boxes up here. Gamma Boost. This is as auto power is always on. It gives us more regen and more recovery, which is fantastic. So I've not had a problem with our blue bar yet. One thing is because we have such long recharges in our powers, it's probably, but still, this blue bar is doing really well for us so far. I'm really happy with that. Proton Armor is our resistance to energy, fire, cold, and negative. Fallout Shelter is a toggle as well. This is going to protect us from like holds and sleeps and immobilizes and stuns and knockdowns and toxic and psi and slow and all these things. In fact, let's take a look at what we're protected from here. Our debuffs. Everything but to hit. So this is great. We have recovery resistance. We have recharge resistance. Don't have defense resistance, though. That can be a bit of a problem. But again, we're focused more on resistance rather than defenses, so we're in okay shape. Regeneration resistance. We're able to go in and fight the Freak Show Stunners and the Carnival of Shadows with no problem whatsoever, thanks to Gamma Boost. So, and also our Fallout Shelter. So, Fallout Shelter is giving us the other thing. I'm sorry. That's going to give us all of our status protections, all these things. I've been focused so much on this debuff to resistance. You don't really think about this until you run into something. I've got a shield scrapper, and I'm leveling up. And we were doing the Penelope Yin task force last night, and holy moly, those freak shows! I was drained all the time, and because that character has no recovery resistance, and those freak show stunners just wipe you out. So don't have the problem with this character. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay, Fallout Shelter. Radiation therapy is PBAOE. Is what we're clicking on here. This is when we start to get hit too hard. We're going to go ahead and get a little bit of damage. We're going to hurt our enemies' regen, and it's going to boost our hit points and our endurance. So it's going to help us out a decent amount. Particle shielding we're going to take next at level 28. This is going to boost our absorb and our regeneration boost. So that it's going to sit right here in its own little slot. And these two things that we've seen from Killdozer, I just hit these two suckers and just keep on going. Ground Zero is an attack. It's a PBOE attack, which I'm going to take. This is a great power. It does some massive damage to enemies all around us. It floors their defenses, so every other attack I do after that is going to hurt them a lot more. It's going to give us and our allies hit points that healed over time. It's a great power. And finally, we're going to take Meltdown. It gives us resistance to everything. Plus recovery, plus damage. It does slight. After like 2 minutes when it wears off, we're going to lose some recovery. I think it's not like Elude from Super Reflexes where it just floors everything, and you got to go for some period of time with it. That doesn't do that. It just drops it down a little bit. So this is actually a decent power to use on a regular basis. So this is going to be a really strong character. So that is it. I think I spent too much time talking about Stalkers overall, so I took up a lot more time. But, I will go over this because people ask about this more often than anything else. How do I have this box up here? And what happens is you go ahead and click on Powers, and then you click on Combat Attributes. And you can go into any one of these things in here, in Base, or in Movement, or in Damage Resistance, which I've got a lot of. And if you see something you like I have Smashing Resistance up here, I saw Smashing Resistance, and I clicked on here, and I clicked on Monitor Smashing Resistance. And I put a little box up here, and I moved it up there. And if I want to do another one, so I've got Smashing, and I got Energy, I got Melee Defense and Range Defense. If I want to have something like Recovery Rate, I could just click on that, right-click, click on Monitor, and it'll put it right up to the box. You can have up to 5 things in the box, and you can move them up and down, or you can, get rid of them and then replace them with something else too. So very useful, very helpful, and most of my characters have something like this up here. It's very helpful. So that's going to do it. Let me turn on hide. Of course, with radiation powers, they have all those graphics on here. You can make them, minimal, or you can color them. For Killdozer, I colored them all kind of brownish tan, so it looked like dust. On this character, since I made her kind of a Sea Wench is a Sea Witch, I colored them kind of blue, and so that came out looking pretty good. I did that when I did the build, so that worked out okay, and I really enjoyed the staff, the trident thing. There's a lot of different types of things you can get here. This is, I think, my favorite one. That's why I went with the C basic thing. So that's going to do it for us. I do want to take this character out on some runs. I think I'll do that for the next episode. I'll do some solo runs and maybe some team runs as well on this particular character, so you can see how all the powers work. So until next time, this is Greg 29407 along with Sea Wench saying arrivederci, and we will see you next time.